My name is Wilfredo Lopez, and I currently work for Homeboy Industry. It's just a pleasure to be here, follow Father Greg Boyle. I can honestly say I love that man with all my heart. Um, yeah, it just really hits home. So my name is Wilfredo Lopez, and I'm a 26-year-old ex-gang member. Um, like I said, I currently live with Homo Industries. But my life has not always been the way they presented it earlier. I come from a very normal, dysfunctional family. Trying to let go of the nerves. Single mother of 5 kids, raised in the San Fernando Valley. Um, Growing up, I was a normal kid. I went to school. I played soccer. I had a park right across the street from my house. And that's all I did. I loved playing soccer. I never met my biological father because he abandoned me before I was even born. So growing up, I was never home. I was always at the park or in school. I can remember when I was in elementary school, I had a 3rd grade teacher that one day she called me to the front, and she says, "Wilfredo, come to the front." She was very excited. She had this white piece of paper or envelope in her hand, and she was waving it. And she says, "Come here, come here, come here." And I run to the front, and I'm like, all right, she probably got some cash for me. And I get up there, and she says, "Open it," and it has my name on it. And I open the envelope, and it's a piece of paper, and I, like, "Where's the money?" And she's very excited. She says, "Read it, read it." And it's Wilfredo Lopez, and all the other good stuff. You are placed in honors classes because of your scores on your testing. And I go, "Okay, what does that mean?" She says, "You're going to be in honors classes. You're an honors kid. You're like advanced." And I said, "Oh, great, fine, cool." Put the envelope back, and so I went home. And when I went home that night, I waited for my mom to get back. I didn't even go to the park and play soccer. And I became that teacher that was excited. And as soon as my mom walked in that door, I said, "Hey, look, look, look." And I waved that envelope, and my mom said, "What is that?" And I said, "Look, open it." And she opened it, opened up the piece of paper, and she says, "What's this?" She turned into me, and I turned into my teacher. And she put it back, she gave it back to me and just walked to the room. This is what's going on in my household. So I was always at the park playing soccer. Growing up, I continued to go to school. I was in my honors classes. I got the certificates. I would go home, and they would just lay around, or I would throw them away. I could remember at 10 years old, I met my biological father for the first time. My aunts and uncles felt like I needed to meet my biological father. So they introduced me to him behind my mother's back. This was the happiest weekend in my life. I met the man that fell in love with my mom, met the man I'm supposed to look like, the man that I'm supposed to be like. And I spent the weekend with him, and this man asked me questions that nobody's ever asked me. Do you have a girlfriend? Do you want to go to school? Do you like girls? Things that nobody's ever asked me, not in my house, not at the park, not in school. I could remember spending that weekend with him, and the last time that we've had words were on a drive back to my aunt's house, where he said, "Have you ever been to Universal Studios?" I said, "No, can't afford that." He said, "Well, next time I pick you up, I'm going to take you." 3 months later, my mother was sitting in front of the couch after I came back from a field trip up to Malibu, where they would shower us with gifts during Christmas because we couldn't afford it. So we'd come home, bring the presents, she'll wrap them up, put them under the tree. Those were our gifts. But this time, she picked me up from the field trip, sat on the couch, and stared at the TV that was blank. After I finished my meal, she called me to the couch, and she said, "There's no other way I can tell you this, but your father's dead." I'm 10 years old, in the 5th grade, honor student. She began to cry. I began to cry with her. It's the first time I see my mother cry. It's the first time I'm crying with my mother. We embrace. She says, "Call your uncles and find out what happened." I find out my dad was murdered at his job, found lifeless in the restroom with his head split open. I went to his funeral. As soon as I walked in, I felt like everybody was staring at me like if I was a ghost. said, this is his son he abandoned for 10 years. This is him. The last memory I have of my dad in the casket was my 5-year-old little brother telling him, Daddy, wake up. Daddy, wake up. I'm 10 years old, honor student in the 5th grade. I could honestly say that's where my life took its turn. That's where I started seeking the attention that I thought and felt I deserved. And I went from one end of the park where I played soccer to the other end where there was these tough gang members, bald-headed, tattoos, big pants. I know you guys seen them. These men that hide these feelings. Nobody asked me about my dad, my mom, my house, if I had money, if I had shoes or anything. Nobody asked me if I wanted to go to school or not. So I became part of them. I put this mask on, I shaved my head, I put these pants. I hid the fact that my father was just murdered and that I wrapped Christmas presents that were given to me and I already knew what they were. I didn't have to share that with anybody. So I became a gang member. At the age of 11, I started affiliating with my gang and involving myself in criminal activity. I would ditch school. I would commit crimes. I would intimidate people. I would assault people and do things like that. At the age of 11, I found myself in a juvenile house cell for the first time in my life, and I was in and out till the age of 15. At the age of 15, I sat in front of a judge and he sentenced me to juvenile life. Spent the rest of my juvenile life in prison because he said, you just don't get it. At that time, I had a lot of hate and anger, and I said, why me? What did I do? I didn't kill anybody. I went to California Youth Authority at the age of 15, and I spent all the way to the age of 23 in prison. I went to adult state prison at the age of 18, where I had a cellmate that was doing life. My neighbors, 40 years to life. Everybody else doing three life sentences, 100 and plus years. I was on a 5-year term, 18 years old, 110 pounds. I spent all the way to the age of 23 in prison and didn't learn much. I self-educated myself by getting me a GED book, and I got myself a GED on my own. I paroled in 2008 of 2003. Going back to the age of 12, Father Greg Boyle mentioned a little bit earlier that he does mass at detention centers. That's where I met him for the first time at the age of 12. When I met Father Greg Boyle, I was sitting in my cell, and I was like, Sunday, and they called, anybody wants to go to church? And I was like, man, I need to get out of here, I'm bored. So I went to Mass. Mass was held in a gym where Father Greg Boyle shows up, and he's a white man. You know, crowd is mostly Hispanic and Black African American. He shows up with his little colorful thing and his white vest, and he starts doing Mass. I already was ready to go to sleep, but as soon as he started talking, he addressed us in a different way. He addressed us in a way we could understand him. Just the way he spoke right now, he started talking about people coming in his office and Speedy and Youngster and things like that. And I said, wait a minute, this white man's talking about Speedy and Youngster. So he had my attention. But at the end of the Mass, that man stood at the only door you can go in and go out. And he stood at the door and he gave his card to every single young kid in that gym. And when he got to me, he gave me his card and he said, come see me when you're ready. Come see me when you're ready. I did not go see him when I was 12, 13, 16, 18, 21. I walked into Homeboy Industries about a year and a half ago. I was 25 years old. I had got out in 2008, like I mentioned, and I got out with a bunch of tattoos on my body, a GED, and a bunch of criminal mind thoughts that I thought I became smarter and slicker, but I was really cruelly mistaken. I continued to go in and out of prison from 2008 to 2010. At this time, I met myself a girl. I had myself a little girl. But things didn't change. But about a year and a half ago, they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, I ended up in a jail cell every single time. About a year and a half ago, I was sitting in the cell and I was thinking, man, it doesn't get no better than this. And I said, yes, it does. I made a commitment to my daughter, which today is 2 years old. I said that I'm not going to be like my father. I'm not going to show up in her life when she's 10 years old and then disappear. I'm going to be present in her life when she's 10, 11, 12, 13, 30, 50, until I die. I got out of prison in 2008, and as soon as I got out of prison, I got out of prison in 2010 from this violation where I made this commitment. and I walked myself straight to Homeboy Industries. As I walked into that office, I met Father Greg Boyle, walked right into his office, and he said, "Welcome. You are where you need to be." I've been at Homeboy Industries now for a year and a half, and my life has truly been a blessing. I walked in with an ankle bracelet on my ankle because I was a high-known gang member. I walked in living in a rehab with nothing in my back. Today, I can honestly say my life has really changed thanks to Homeboy Industries and the programs it offers. I'm a domestic violence facilitator. I facilitate restorative justice. I facilitate high school support groups in 3 different high schools in the LAUSD that hold support groups for young men to hold nonviolent relationships with their girlfriends and their families, to break the stigma of the machismo in the Hispanic community. Today, I strongly help out with trying to reform the system and the education inside of prison. Today, I am a father. Today, I am a brother. Today, I am a son. Today, my daughter's in a daycare, and I'm saving for her to go to college. 3 days ago, actually on Friday, I had just discharged parole, and it's thanks to this organization. I can honestly say it's thanks to Homeboy Industries that last night I flew from Salinas after talking to 2,000 people in the community that have a gang problem in Salinas. And I had about, I could say 1,500 mothers crying because I told them not to give up on their kids in prison. Because I told them that we can make a change and you can make a change. And I know this room is very, very full of human beings that can make an impact in our community. Change is possible, and I believe it starts with us, not them, meaning us, everybody in this room. I can honestly say it is possible, and thanks to the organization that I am at, I'm able to do that. Today, I'm a normal, abiding citizen. I do not rob, steal, or shoot. I don't intimidate people. I smile, as you guys can tell. I park my car and pay my tabs. I have car insurance, you know. I'm just a regular person. So in closing, I just want to say I'm very grateful to be here. It is an honor and a privilege. Just like yesterday, I told this community, I said, if my mother was to see me, she'd be very proud of me. And I know she is. And I thank you guys for the opportunity. I thank you guys for all the work you guys are doing. I thank you for the time, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.